I think that can be really helpful to bring them in, especially if the mother of the children is causing conflict, or the father of the children is causing conflict somehow. It can be really good to have all of the adults in the room and to work with all of them together to try to help solve some of those problems, because the children aren't going away.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean in this case having the children in the room when you're doing that. That would be just with the adults.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the thing that's so challenging about that is that this is the children's childhood happening right before the eyes of the parents. And even though the parents are maybe caught up in moving on and wanting a new relationship, this still is the children's life. And kids, until they're probably in their teens and sometimes even older than that, kids just picture mom and dad being together. So it really isn't probably going to much matter who you bring into the picture. It's still going to be hard for the kids, because they would rather see mom and dad together than dad with someone and mom with someone. And so it's important to not forget that this is their childhood and they have no control over it, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally up to the adults that are in their lives.
Okay.
And so I recommend not even introducing children to this person that you're dating, not even getting the kids involved unless you've made a decision to make it a permanent relationship. And then at that point you start building a relationship with the kids and helping them to process. Because otherwise, this is another person that's going to leave them if that relationship ends. And the children end up grieving over the loss of another person that they thought cared about them and then went away. So it can be really, really damaging to children. So when parents start to date and get into new relationships, they have to proceed really, really carefully because of the impact on children.
Okay. And I know we're almost out of time, but is there anything else you just wanted to touch on a little bit regarding relationships or any relationships with your kids?
As far as relationship with kids, maybe not so much, but I do want to plug one book that I think
that'd be great.
Can be really helpful. It's called Hold Me Tight.
Okay.
And there's actually a website, and it's the same name, holdmetight.net, that talks about the book, and you can hear the author talk about the book. Susan Johnson, Dr. Susan Johnson, is the person that wrote the book. She is considered to be probably the best marital therapist on the planet. And in this book, she talks about what it takes to make a strongly attached marriage. And it also applies to relationships with other people that you're closely connected to, like parents or maybe a roommate or that kind of relationship. But she's got a lot of really unique insight that is helpful. And that's one of the books I use for my clients when I'm working on a marital relationship. That's one of the assignments, is for them to read that book. So I would really encourage anyone who's listening to consider looking at that book and maybe reading it on their own, because I think it would give them a lot of insight into how to prepare for a new relationship.
Okay, definitely. We'll put that information up on the screen so everybody can get a hold of it. And I know you mentioned your website is currently under construction, but you expect it to be up and running in the near future. So I just want to plug that real quick. It's luannahrens.com, and I'll type that up and put it at the bottom of the screen as well for spelling and everything. And you're based out of California, so if anyone listening is out of California and is interested in contacting you, we'll also put your contact information up on the screen as well. So I just wanted to thank you for joining us today and taking time out of your schedule to talk with us a little bit about second marriages. Thanks for joining us. This has been another edition of Divorce Today on DadsDivorce.com.